Hey, it's Michael, and in this video I wanted to talk about step one of the three-step enrollment process, which is the presentation step. So let's get into that discussion and talk about what you want to do in this particular step. Okay, so step one of the three-step enrollment process is to just present the information to the employee. And really, you have three goals here that you want to make sure that you communicate in the presentation step. So the first goal of the presentation step is to diffuse any resistance to hearing the information. And the way you go about doing that is just by making sure that people understand that you're only there to make sure at this particular stage to let them know how it works. And you're not even going to ask them to sign up because you tell everybody to take it home and take a look at it. So right away, any employee that doesn't really want to necessarily hear it because they're afraid they're going to be sold, or put in a situation they're going to be pressured, you can kind of diffuse some of that feeling the employee might have that they might be uncomfortable if they go through the process. So that leads me to the second goal of the presentation process, which is to make sure that you explain the enrollment process to the employees you're working with as part of your presentation. So you want to explain that step one is just to make sure they know how it works. Step two is they're going to have a chance to take it home and take a look at it, and they don't have to decide right that second. And then step three is you're going to follow up with them just to find out if they want to sign up or not. So I found that just making sure that people understand how the process works and tell them what you're going to take them through, that makes everything go much more smoothly. And the other thing is it avoids problems when you follow up. I know I used to work with a guy, we did a presentation, and then it would slip his mind to tell people that we had to follow up with them to find out what they wanted to do. And then when you went to follow up with them, they're like, well, I didn't know you were going to follow up with me and actually want to know if I wanted to sign up. So it's important to make sure that you explain the enrollment process right up front, that this is just information, we're going to let you take it home, and we're going to come back and find out what you want to do. Now, as part of this process, this is kind of where this whole waiver card thing comes in a little bit here. And I always let people know we're not there to collect signatures. We're there to make sure that employees get the information on the offer, because it's our job to make sure they at least kind of hear it. And at the end of the process, if somebody doesn't want to sign up, we're going to kind of document that we saw them and they decided no. But our point isn't just to get a bunch of, cards signed that's, oh yeah, that way we can just check off that we tried to see them. Our job is to make sure that we take them through the enrollment process, that they actually heard the offer and they decided they didn't want it based on hearing it and not just signing off just because they all want to go through the process. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to take every single person that you meet through the process, but if you go through these three steps, it'll certainly help take people who were slightly resistant to going through the process in the first place to at least hear what the offer is. And if you explain to them, hey, you're listening to the offer, make sure that everybody gets an option to get in with the underwriting concessions that the insurance company has made, and that's the sole purpose of it. Now, the third thing about the presentation meeting is that you want to explain the offer and how it works and how it impacts, the employees that you're working with. And this needs to be a two-way street. So a lot of agents make the mistake of just, saying, here it is, here's how it works, and there's no interaction between them and the employees, and you got to get them involved in the presentation process to find out how it impacts them. Now, this is going to vary depending on whether you're working with a group or with an individual. With an individual, you got a lot more leeway to ask them more information. But usually I start this two-way street thing at the very beginning by getting some sort of response from employees. So, for example, I might ask people, how many people are married, how many have kids, how many have grandkids, because in my particular program that I offer primarily, I know that they can sign up those people, and it kind of sets the stage that they know I'm going to be this is a two-way street, because a lot of times individually you'll meet with people and you'll give them the information and you'll get what I call the head nodder, And they go, yeah, yeah, and they're not even paying attention. So I kind of design in my presentation certain points in time where I try and find out with what I'm talking about if it's potentially important to them by finding out information from them that can tell me that. And the other thing about the offer is if you have guaranteed issue and it's not going to be available in the future, if they don't take it this particular time, you got to make sure that they're aware of that. And employees don't understand the underwriting process. You have to let them know how underwriting works, so that if they're on any medication or they have any health problems, that they really want to take a close look at it, because it's guaranteed issue and they don't have to disclose any of that stuff. So if that's an important feature of what you're offering, you've got to explain that to them so that they go, oh, that affects me. I might want to take a close look at it. So those are the three things that are important excuse me, about the presentation process. You want to diffuse any resistance the best you can, just to make sure people know you're not there to sell them anything. You're just there to make sure that they hear it and they get the information, and then by them hearing it, it helps everybody get the offer. And then secondly, that they know what the enrollment process is, so they're not surprised when you take them through the steps, and it'll go a lot more smoothly. And then finally, you want to make sure that everybody understands that how the offer works and how it affects them personally, so they can make the best decision possible. Now, I'm often asked, well, should you do these in groups, do them individually? And I do whatever it takes. So if I need to see people in groups, I'm certainly okay with that. And if I need to see people individually, I'm okay with that as well. The only thing is I don't like too large of groups. 20, 25 people isn't bad. Once you start getting 30, 40, 50 people and up, it's very hard to kind of maintain everybody's attention, because you kind of need to control the meeting in such a way that everybody hears you, can understand. So it's important for you, when you do the presentation step, to see where you're meeting at, how many people you're going to be talking to at a time, and what kind of conditions you're going to have. I know sometimes I've worked in highway garages, and in the background there's this fan running the whole time and you can't hear everything. Well, when you talk to the people you're working with to set meetings up, you kind of need to go, well, what's going to happen here to make sure that the environment is good. And in the end, you got to kind of work with what you've got, but you can kind of plan ahead for some of those things too. So that's a good roundup of the presentation step, what you want to accomplish in it, and kind of how that should work. So in the next video, I'll talk more about the second step, and that's the review process the employee can go through.